There comes a moment in every seeker's life when the noise of the world feels too loud, and the pull of the inner world feels too strong to ignore. It is in these moments that the soul begins to whisper, "There is more to you than the body you see in the mirror, more than the identity you carry, more than the roles you play. You are vast, eternal, infinite. You are spirit." This whisper is the first call of the higher self. The higher self is not something outside of you, not a distant being in the sky, but the deepest and truest part of who you are. It is your pure consciousness, the eternal spark of divine awareness that exists beyond fear, beyond ego, beyond the temporary stories of this lifetime. To connect with your higher self is to remember who you truly are. It is like awakening from a dream and realizing you are not the character you were playing, but the dreamer behind it all. Yet, the question remains, how do we connect with this higher self? How do we move from simply hearing faint whispers to living in daily communion with that infinite awareness? The journey is not about becoming someone new. It is about peeling away the layers that hide your true essence. It is about slowing down, listening, opening your heart, and surrendering to the wisdom that has always been within you. Imagine for a moment that your life is like a river. On the surface, the water is restless, carrying leaves, twigs, and ripples of constant movement. This surface is like the mind, full of thoughts, worries, and distractions. But if you dive deeper, beneath the surface, you will find stillness, clarity, and quiet. This depth is your higher self, untouched by the storms above, always present, always serene. The journey we take together in this video is a journey into that depth. The first step is awareness. Before you can connect with your higher self, you must recognize the ways the lower self, or ego, has been guiding your life. The ego thrives on comparison, fear, survival, and control. It says, "You are what you achieve. You are what others think of you. You are your mistakes. You are your possessions." But the higher self whispers a different truth. You are eternal. You are whole. You are love itself. This distinction is important, because without recognizing the voice of the ego, we may confuse it for the higher self. Many people believe their intuition is speaking, but in reality, it is the ego disguised in spiritual clothing. Connecting with the higher self requires silence, a return to inner stillness. Our world is filled with distractions, screens flashing, voices demanding, endless to-do lists. These constant noises create static that makes it difficult to hear the subtle wisdom of the soul. Think of it like trying to hear a gentle flute playing in the middle of a busy marketplace. Until the noise quiets, you cannot hear the song. Meditation, prayer, time in nature, journaling, and mindful breathing are the tools that create silence. They are the doors through which the higher self enters. When you begin to practice stillness, something beautiful happens. At first, the mind resists. It throws thoughts at you like pebbles, reminding you of everything you should be doing, everything you have done wrong, everything that might go wrong. But if you persist, a shift occurs. Suddenly, there are moments of space, small gaps between thoughts. And in these gaps, you may feel a warmth in your chest, a sense of peace without reason, or even a quiet inner knowing that gently guides you. These are the footprints of your higher self. The higher self speaks differently than the ego. The ego is loud, demanding, urgent. The higher self is quiet, calm, loving, and patient. When a thought arises from the higher self, it feels expansive, as if the very cells of your body relax into its truth. It never shames, never belittles, never instills fear. Instead, it feels like coming home. That is how you can tell the difference. But connection is not just about silence. It is also about trust. Imagine you are standing on the edge of a forest path you have never walked before. You cannot see the end, only the next few steps. Your higher self is like the guide who already knows the path, who sees beyond the bend. To connect with your higher self, you must be willing to take those steps without needing to see the entire road. This is where faith becomes essential, not blind faith, but living faith born from inner resonance. When you follow your higher self, life begins to align in mysterious ways. You notice synchronicities, numbers repeating, meaningful encounters, doors opening at just the right time. These are not coincidences. They are the universe's way of affirming, yes, you are aligned. Yes, you are listening. The more you notice and honor these signs, the stronger your connection grows. There comes a time in every person's life when the noise of the outside world begins to feel too heavy, too demanding, too shallow. You may find yourself asking deeper questions. Who am I beyond my name? Beyond my job? Beyond the roles I play? You may sense that something vast, something luminous, lives inside of you, waiting patiently to be remembered. This quiet, eternal presence is what spiritual traditions call the higher self. The higher self is not separate from you. It is not a distant angel in the sky or an unreachable divine being. It is the deepest truth of who you are. It is your pure consciousness, your eternal essence, the spark of the divine that is unbroken by time, untouched by fear, and unshaken by the challenges of this earthly life. To connect with the higher self is not to become someone new, but to peel back the layers of conditioning, fear, and illusion that have hidden your true nature. Imagine for a moment that your life is like a vast mansion. Most people spend their entire lives in one room, the room of the ego, the room of the mind. They decorate it, they rearrange it, they get comfortable there. But behind the door lies the rest of the mansion, rooms filled with wisdom, love, creativity, and peace. The higher self is like the mansion itself, expansive, infinite, waiting for you to open the door and explore. So how do we connect with this higher self? How do we hear its voice amid the constant chatter of the mind? How do we move from separation to unity, from confusion to clarity, from fear to freedom? The journey is not complicated, but it requires willingness, patience, and presence. And in the next moments we share together, we will walk step by step into this connection. This is not just a lecture. It is an initiation, a remembering. The first step is silence. We live in a world of endless noise, buzzing phones, flashing screens, constant opinions. The mind becomes restless, always reaching outward, never turning inward. To hear the higher self, you must create space. Think of it as tuning a radio. If the static of the world is too loud, you cannot hear the delicate frequency of your soul. Meditation, prayer, time in nature, even a few minutes of mindful breathing, these are not luxuries. They are gateways. They are the opening through which your higher self enters your awareness. At first, silence may feel uncomfortable. The mind resists. It throws thoughts at you like pebbles, trying to pull you back into its stories. What about tomorrow? What about that mistake? What if this goes wrong? But if you sit gently, breathing through the noise, eventually small gaps appear. In these gaps, something subtle arises, a warmth in the heart, a calm sense of being held, a quiet knowing that requires no explanation. This is the higher self making itself known. The higher self speaks differently than the ego. The ego is loud, demanding, and urgent. It thrives on fear and scarcity. It says, hurry. Prove yourself. You are not enough. You must control everything. The higher self is patient, loving, and calm. It never pressures. It never shames. Instead, its guidance feels like a gentle expansion, as if the very cells of your body sigh in relief. When you hear a thought from the higher self, you feel at home. That is how you know the difference. But connection is not only about silence. It is also about trust. Imagine you are standing on the edge of a forest path. The way forward is hidden by trees. You cannot see the destination, only the next few steps. The higher self is like the guide who already knows the forest, who sees beyond the bend. To connect, you must be willing to walk with faith, trusting the gentle nudges that arise from within. Each step you take strengthens the bond. The universe itself begins to respond when you walk in alignment with your higher self. Synchronicities appear, repeating numbers, chance encounters, doors opening just at the right moment. These are not accidents. They are the universe whispering, yes. You are listening. You are on the path. The more you notice, the stronger the dialogue becomes. Every sign is like a breadcrumb, guiding you deeper into your soul's truth. Now, let us pause here together. Take a deep breath. Inhale slowly, hold gently, and exhale with a sigh. Feel your chest soften. feel your shoulders relax. Notice the stillness that opens when you give yourself permission to simply be. This stillness is the doorway. You don't need to chase your higher self. You need only open the door and allow it to step forward. Connecting with your higher self also requires honesty. The ego loves masks, pretending to be perfect, pretending to be in control, pretending to be certain. The higher self asks for authenticity. It whispers, be real. Be open. Be willing to see yourself clearly. This means facing your shadows, your fears, your pain, not to judge them, but to bring them into the light of awareness. The higher self is not afraid of your darkness, because it knows that even your pain is part of your sacred journey. As you deepen this relationship, you begin to notice how the higher self communicates in daily life. Sometimes it comes as intuition, a sudden knowing that bypasses logic. Sometimes it comes through dreams, symbols, or the words of another person that seem to arrive at just the right time. Sometimes it is simply a feeling in your heart that says, this is right. This is true. This is the way. The more you honor these whispers, the more they grow. Imagine your higher self as a shy child. If ignored, the child retreats into silence. But if you listen, encourage, and respond with love, the child begins to speak more openly, more confidently. The higher self is the same. The more you listen, the stronger the connection becomes. And then, a shift happens. You realize the higher self is not something you visit in meditation and then leave behind. It becomes the ground you walk upon. It infuses your choices, your relationships, your creativity, your very way of being. You no longer live from fear or lack. You live from love, wisdom, and freedom. Life feels guided, purposeful, alive. You move from surviving to truly living. Think of the great sages, mystics, and enlightened beings throughout history. They did not live without challenges. They faced trials, losses, and tests. But they lived anchored in the higher self, and so they moved through life with grace, with clarity, with compassion. This same potential lives in you. You do not need to become anyone else. You need only remember. When you are connected to your higher self, you begin to see the world differently. Every challenge becomes a lesson. Every person becomes a mirror. Every moment becomes an opportunity to awaken. You realize that the universe is not against you. It is conspiring for you, guiding you to grow, to expand, to return to love. And the most beautiful truth is this: you have never been separate from your higher self. The connection was never broken. It was only forgotten. The journey is not about building a bridge, but about clearing the fog that hides what has always been there. So, how do you connect? You slow down. You listen. You breathe. You trust. You open your heart. You honor the whispers. You live with awareness. And in doing so, you awaken to the truth. You are not a small, powerless being lost in a vast universe. You are the universe itself, expressing through a human form. Let us close this journey together with a moment of silence. Take another deep breath. As you exhale, imagine releasing every fear, every doubt, every distraction. Feel the stillness within you. In that stillness, know this: your higher self is here, now, always, waiting with infinite love. Live from this place. Walk with this awareness. Trust this guidance. And you will never feel lost again.